Today we're going to talk about how the plate tectonics, the theory of plate tectonics, can help us to understand crustal features. Now, we're going to be looking more about plate tectonics, but in order to understand the tectonics of the plates on top of the on the crust of the Earth, that we have to understand what's going on the inside of the Earth. So we're going to take a look at that today. So our big question is, how does the theory of plate tectonics help to explain crustal features? So that's going to be our guiding question for this. So in order to understand that, we need to understand what's on the inside of the Earth. And so we're going to go through the layers of the Earth, starting from the inside and moving out. Now, one of the core ideas that you're going to need to keep in mind as we talk about this is, as we're looking at the Earth, we know that as we go into the Earth, pressure and heat increase as we go into the Earth. Increase going in. So just keep that in mind as we discuss the different layers of the Earth. So we're going to start at the very core of the Earth, and we're going to start with the very inner core. And I'm going to draw it as a solid red dot, and then I'm going to draw a line out here I'm going to call this the inner core. Now, the inner core of the Earth, it's solid. It's solid metal, so it's iron and nickel, and it is a solid. So the outer core is just beyond that. I'm going to draw it like this, and I'm going to draw it in the same color because it's really the same. It's the same matter. It's made of the same matter on the inside. So that's going to be the outer core. And but it's a liquid. So it's the same matter, but it's a different state because it's under less pressure. And so the particles aren't pushed together quite as hard. And so therefore they can be, it's more of a liquid than a solid. So it's the same metal. I'm going to write here. It's the same metals, that nickel and iron, but it's melted, if you will, because it's under less pressure. So I'm going to write under less pressure. Okay? So then, as we move out from that, I'm going to change colors here, and I'm going to draw the next layer here. Now, this next layer is, it's actually, I'm going to color it in because it's solid. I know that looks a little bit like my liquid core, but I'm going to color it in because it's a solid. Now, this is the mantle, part of the mantle. Actually, I'm going to draw both layers, okay? So here's the solid layer, and again, like the previous layer, it's alternating. So we've got the solid layer, and then beyond that, we're going to have a liquid layer, which is the same substance. So I'm going to kind of draw it like this, maybe, to describe the liquid. There, that looks liquidy, yes? Okay, so both of these together, I'm going to mark them together like this. Kind of a bracket for both. Okay, so those together we call the mantle. And this is made of dense rock. So remember, we have metal in the core, but then we have dense rock. It's still rich in iron. So there are metals in it, right? But it's rock that's rich in iron. Now, the lower part, this solid part, we call the mesosphere. So I'm going to draw a line right there. I guess I'll use black so we can see it a little better. So the part that is solid, I'm not calling, it is called the mesosphere, and it's the lower solid part of the mantle. And then we have the asthenosphere. Everybody say that with me. Asthenosphere. That's a fun word in your mouth. And it's the upper semi-liquid part of the mantle. So I'm going to draw a line here and I'm going to write this word. So it's actually not that hard to spell or say astheno and then sphere, right? Asthenosphere. You can say it out loud right where you are. It's the upper semi-liquid part of the mantle. And so it's this semi-liquid part that has that slow moving convection as part of its movement that causes the plates to move. So slow moving convection. So remember, convection currents are moving the plates around. Move, I'm going to say the plates of, and then the next part we're going to talk about is the lithosphere. So on top of this mantle, the two-part mantle, we have another layer, right? And this is not to scale clearly. It's actually very, very thin. But I'm going to draw it on in green because that's kind of how we are used to seeing it. And this is the lithosphere. I'm going to draw a line down from there. And the lithosphere, this is the part of the earth that we see, right? It's the crust, it's the layer of solid, of solid rock. Now, the lithosphere is quite deep. It has the lowest temperature, and the lowest pressure, right? There's not a lot of pressure on the rock that's up at the top. Not like the pressure so that you have increasing as we go in. And so this lithosphere, it's floating on top of on the layer of the asthenosphere. So it's floating on this liquid layer, the asthenosphere layer of the mantle, floating on the asthenosphere, right? And so it's the movement of these of the lithosphere pieces on the mantle of the asthenosphere, which is causing the crustal features that we see as a result of plate tectonics. So as we're thinking about plate tectonics in this lesson, this just kind of gives you a little background about why they're moving around, what we see going on. So I'd like you to notice kind of as we look at the earth as a way to remember this. It seems complicated with big words, but really if you think about it like this, there's metal on the inside and then rock, right? And then metal, it's more dense. And so the more dense part, so you see this pattern of solid, liquid, and then solid, liquid, QU, liquid. And then on the very top, we have solid again, right? So you can see that pattern of solid, liquid, solid, liquid, solid. And you can sort of see that pattern going down or coming up as well. But the reason that you have the solid, liquid pattern is because you've got different substances with different properties on the very core, the inner core, and the outer core. Same substance, but under different conditions as the pressure changes. And then same with the mantle as well. So that's a little background. Hopefully you follow that, and we can use that background knowledge now to understand the rest of our lesson.